Welcome to PC Gaming Tech Summary. I'm your host Gamer, and today we look at Tomb Raider 2013 and the 3060 12GB and the Intel i7 7700 7th gen CPU. What can it all do? Well, you'd be surprised how fast the 7700 is. It came out in 2017, 14 nanometer, and today 14 nanometer all the way. Not much advancement. Intel had some real manufacturing problems over the years, and they're on the mend. They're on improvement. And in a few days, we're going to have Alder Lake, which is looking fantastic. You're going to have two different types of cores in that CPU. You're going to have your gaming cores and your multitasking cores. So hopefully I can render some videos with the multitasking cores and then do a bit of gaming at the same time and not have to, pay up the wazoo for it. On October 18th, 2021, a patch came out for Shadow of the Tomb Raider, for Rise of the Tomb Raider, and for Tomb Raider 2013. Okay, so I got onto Shadow of the Tomb Raider because I know it's got the DLSS, Deep Learning Super Sampling, and version 2.3.2.0. And I worked all day, and finally at night, late at night, I got the video published. And oh wow, really happy with those results. Those results stand, they're all good. Yeah, so if you want to have a look, go for it. Really improvements there, and really a lot of fun. The next day, what happened? They rolled back all 3 patches. Some complaints, some issues. Well, I don't even think the game crashed once on me that day testing, all day testing. So I can't play DLSS 2.3.2.0 at the moment. So I decided to have a look at Tomb Raider 2013. Ooh, having some fun there. And of course, all my testing I do at 4K because the 3060 12GB, big improvement at 4K over older video cards. Oh, really good, really nice. There's no point doing 1080p with that card. It's just a waste of time, really. And I'm more interested in 4K these days and 60 hertz. So, Tomb Raider 2013. Yeah. So I'm going to carry on and give you my results. What I found things a bit different. How it behaved, the results, and really out of the box settings. If you take your video card, put it in, away you go. And you can play that Tomb Raider, and you don't have to worry about tweaking it or anything. Okay, just a little spoiler alert there. But I'll go through what I did with overclocking and underclocking and the results that came from that. I played around with the core and the memory frequency, so you can have a play with both of those. And of course, I always want to sort of tweak my card so that I minimize heat being created and wear and tear on the card. So, also, I'll do another video soon in regards to Alder Lake and Windows 11 and other bits and pieces. I just want to do a separate video for that. I don't want this one to get too long. The Tomb Raider series, I've been playing since it was created, okay? So I have a PS1 stored away, and I've got all the Tomb Raider games except for the very first one. But I rented that and I played it through 2 or 3 times. And boy, revolutionary at the time, really. The 3D aspects of it, and puzzle solving, and the shooting, and everything was a lot of fun. So, hey, if you want me to pull out the PS1 and have a play with those older games, talk about those older Tomb Raider games, well, just let me know and I'll do some more videos on it. But there's no point if nobody's interested, because I can spend a lot of time and get 5 views, you know. So, just let me know in the comments section below. Again, thanks to S94 and Ben Weston for your comments. Appreciate it. So, sit right back, have a cup of coffee, and we'll get into it. Well, we're using the Intel i7-7700, which is a 4-core, 8 threads. It's got a single core boost of 4.2 megahertz, all-core boost of 4.0. We're using Windows 10 and the latest NVIDIA drivers. We're using the EVGA 3060 XC 12 gigabyte, and we're testing Tomb Raider 2013 at ultimate settings, and the anti-aliasing is FXAA. The out-of-the-box frequency of the video memory is 75 megahertz, and the core boost clock out-of-the-box setting is 1882 megahertz. If we have a look right here at the out-of-the-box settings, so we open up our graphics card, take it out of the box, put it in the computer, and run it. And so those are the out-of-the-box settings. The out-of-the-box settings have no change in the video memory and no change in the core frequency, okay? So no change is 0, and we get 65.5 frames per second, which is a great result. We're doing this at 4K, and on a 60 hertz monitor, which gives you a maximum of 60 frames per second. So the average frame rate is above that, so that's just perfect. So you really don't have to tweak the card to get a good result on this game. Now, every game behaves differently, if you were having a big trouble with too much heat, because this graphics card only has two fans, and if you have a terrible case with low airflow and that kind of thing, you could take it down to the very minimum. So if you the out-of-the-box settings are 0 and 0, this is the way it comes. With 100% power, 83 degrees C at the max. Okay, so once I go and start tweaking, I pull all of this up to the top. Now that's what I do. You don't have to do that, but basically I'm just allowing the graphics card to do what it wants to do, so it doesn't just zap it with 111% power all the time, depending on what it needs to do. So so at a minimum core clock and a minimum memory clock, that's minus 502 megahertz on each. And so with that, we get a result of 53 frames per second, which is a little bit too low. We could live with that if we had to. Tweaking from there, what I would suggest you do first is minimize the memory. So you could bring down the memory to minus 502. Here we've got 0 out-of-the-box settings on the core clock, and we just bring the memory all the way down. We hit the tick and we activate it, and then see what our temps are from there. That had very little effect on the frames per second, so it's only dropped like 1 frame per second doing that. So that would be the first thing to try. Now, to to boost it, overclock it a bit. If you needed to for some reason, it has very little effect. So generally my maximum overclock down here is 1,002 megahertz on the memory. So that's my number 5. 1,002 megahertz on the memory and 171 megahertz on the core clock. I find if I take it up much above that, the heat just goes way too high on it. So that's about the maximum. I do it. I have it on my card. It's stable on those settings. I don't get crashing, and so that would take it up only just less than 6 frames per second. Okay, so let's go over to the next slide. So if we did that, we would, taking it up 71.3 frames per second with that maximum overclock. That's a 5.8 change in frames per second, and it's only an 8% improvement. With my out-of-the-box settings, I'm getting a low of 52 FPS and a high of 77. And I ran the test 4 times and averaged the results there. So that's what that is. So the very interesting Tomb Raider 2013 results that tweaking the 3060 12 gigabyte doesn't have a lot of effect. And on other games, it definitely has a bigger effect. Thanks for joining us here on PC Gaming Tech Summary, and don't forget, you'll be seeing me in the next video.
No, no, no.